You are now listening to Halal Talks.
And then I got involved in MSA West, and the people in MSA West weren't serious enough about Islam for me. And so I thought to myself, okay, MSA is not serious enough. MSA West isn't serious enough. Marriage is half of the religion. Maybe I should get married. That was like my logic. That seems like the next logical step. So then
That is very black and white.
and I didn't have any like fears because I was completely ignorant, right? I didn't have
Right.
any of the fears of, oh my God, what is going to happen if you do. I just knew I should think about getting married, and I want to marry the best person that I possibly can. And if I want to marry them, I have to talk to their family. That's all I really knew. It was like very simple, right?
This is still at 19.
I was 20 by then. Yeah, I was 20 by
Very
then.
mature at that point. 20.
I was 20, yeah. And so I called the father of who's now my wife, and I told him that I'd like to meet his daughter and come to his home and stuff like that. And mashallah, they welcomed me, and I went, and alhamdulillah, we got married. So that was about a year after I became a Muslim that we did our nikah, and then mashallah, you know, I only found out that I was Mayman later on in life. For any of the Maymans who are listening to this broadcast, when I was studying in Egypt, one of the students in Egypt told me. I was like, oh, I had no clue like what that is, but then everything made sense. So so when we did the nikah about 2 days before the FAFSA was due, and we didn't know what we were gonna do. Like, are we gonna get married? We'll live together or not? Whatever. We were just like, we'll just fill out the FAFSA, independent, married, you know, undergrad. So mashallah, we got the FAFSA back. They gave us a bunch of money. So we did our walima, and we like got an apartment next to the masjid, and life was good.
And this is while you guys are both in school.
We're both undergrad, yeah. And my wife, part of her condition of, I mean, I knew that when I sought to marry her, and I knew that about her when I married her, is that she wanted to study Islam. And that her condition actually in the marriage was that I take her to study. It wasn't really specified. The amount of time wasn't specified. It was just specified that I would have to take her, because she had wanted actually to go to Azhar since she was in high school. And she couldn't go because she didn't have a mahram and all these kind of things. Her parents didn't want her to go, whatever. So she went to college. That was why she went to college. And then, so alhamdulillah, about a year, we finished our last year of school. And then after we finished our last year, we left for Egypt.
Wow. I think one thing that you were saying that your wife alhamdulillah said was that there's like there's stipulation that I need to be able to do this. And I think so many people lose out on that when they're getting married, is that it's a contract, and you have to make sure that you guys both people that are going to be married are fitting into that contract, are going to make themselves progress in that way that they each want to. I think that so many times that gets lost in our society now, where it's like, oh, I just want to be in love, and that's great and all, and that comes with time. But I think the most important thing is, how do we make each other better people, and how do we progress in our goals in life?
Yeah, some people might not like what I have to say on these kind of things, but I really appreciate the method that Islam puts in place for marriage when it's done right. I think that it's really, really good. And that the point, one of the main objectives of marriage is to realize the complementary nature of men and women, and that we are supposed to complement one another. And so I always tell people, if you follow these rules, you'll be better off. And that basically means respect one another from day one, get the families involved. Don't worry about making each other happy in your first conversations. Worry about asking your big questions. Like, if you don't know your red flag issues, then you're not ready to get married. You should know what your red flag issues are, what the things you absolutely are not budging on, what they are, and you should put those out right in the beginning. Because otherwise what happens is people get all emotional, especially people who have never been in a relationship before. It's very easy to get emotional, right? So you get all emotional, and then you don't want to ask the big questions anymore. And next thing you know, you're like, families booked a venue and relatives' tickets are bought and all this stuff. And you never even had the conversations you were supposed to have, right? But very in the beginning, okay, this is what my plan is. I want to go to medical school, and I don't know where that's going to take me. And we're going to be poor for the next 10 years while I'm a student. Are you willing to accept that? If you're not, then like we don't even need to move forward. And she's gonna have her things too. So from day one, her thing was like, if you don't want to go study, don't even. It's not even worth it. You should just leave now. And I really appreciated that. And that's what we did. The first conversations we had were all, is this gonna happen or not? And if it's not, then you might be a great person, but maybe this is not the best fit for us.
And by that time, you were already thinking of going to study?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were some of the red flag issues for you?
No, I mean, I didn't really. So I'm hesitant to say that I knew my wife, because I think that people in modern Muslim campus cultures will misunderstand that. Like, I knew my wife, but just to give some context, like, we were so serious, quote unquote, about Islam that we would have conversations in the library, for example, about MSA West, because it was at Berkeley that year. She was the programs chair and I was the workshops chair, so we'd have to talk. We had a reason to talk. It wasn't just like aimless talking. So we'd have reasons to talk on campus, and we'd talk, and our gaze would be lowered, and there'd be so much space between us that people didn't know we were talking to each other, and they'd walk between us. So when I say I knew my wife, like, that's how I knew my wife. Wow. Just to be clear. So no one's like misunderstanding this.
So it's very formal
very formal, but I knew what she was about. Right, we worked on things together in MSA and in MSA West, and I knew what she was about, and I knew it was serious to her, and to be honest, I was probably too young and immature and ignorant to really know my red flag issues. So that's the advice I'd give people now, but I don't think I would have passed my own advice. The advice that I give people now on all these kind of things, I don't know if I would have passed them. But alhamdulillah, it worked out. But I think that I could have received better advice in the marriage process. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have any, to be honest. I was like, I'm good to go, like, bismillah, She had red flag issues, basically, some of these things. How do I understand women? What her role in the family and in life and in the community and so on and so forth, and studying and all this kind of stuff. But alhamdulillah, we worked it out.
So one thing that I'm kind of wondering too is, alhamdulillah, you guys got married so young for our society standards, like very young. How do you think that kind of played out? Like, would you, because so many times nowadays in our society, it's wait till you get out of college, wait till you go to medical school, wait till you earn something, wait till you have a house. When is the right time? Because in my mind, now that I got married a lot later too, at 25, which actually for our society is still young for our society, but
it was after you started working and all those things.
But that was after I had graduated, I had established myself with a job, and I had an income coming. So then I did the regular progress that you're supposed to be, that everyone tells you. How do you kind of navigate that in our society? Do you think it's better to wait? Do you think it's better to just go forward?
I don't know that there's one answer. I think that we do well as a community to raise our young men and young women such that they're able and ready and able to get married when they're young. But I'm not sure that we do that. So I don't think that there's one answer. I think that if we raise people that you're going to get married when you're ready to get married, and you can have that conversation with me whenever you want, and these are the things that you need to be aware of. You need to know yourself. You need to be engaged in your own self-development. You need to figure out how you're going to make money and support a family and all that. As long as you're willing to discuss all those things and bring those things, then I'm willing to talk to you, and raising our children to be responsible, raising our children to act appropriately, and so I think that it depends on people and on cultures that are developed. But I think that there are ways that can work. And it also depends, a lot of it, to be honest, depends on economics. So if someone is in a position where their family will help them, is a lot different than someone whose family can't help them. Someone who's not accustomed to living a very expensive lifestyle is different than someone who's accustomed to living an expensive lifestyle. Right, so we were both, although, how should I say this? I can say for myself, at least, that my family is, mashallah, pretty well off. Like, they're like most Americans. They consider themselves, middle class, but I would consider them upper middle class. Most Americans think they have less than they actually do. But, they've done well for themselves, but my parents are really simple people. Like, they don't buy things. They don't spend money on things. My dad's driving the same car today that he bought when I started driving. So I don't even know what year that is. This car is like 18 years old or something. It's really old. Wow. But it still works, and he has no problem. So he's like, I'll drive it. It's no problem, right? So, it depends on lifestyles. It depends on situations. But I think we would do well to seek that at least. I think that people can get married young. I just think that they need the right preparation. And I don't think that I had that, just to be fully blunt. I think that I had a lot of good upbringing from my parents, and I think that she did from her parents as well. And also, we come like on the edge of that generation. There was a major shift in the Muslim community on a whole lot of issues, probably around the time when we got married. It's like when this stuff was really going down. Mm-hmm. And she comes from a generation where people did get married young. And that was totally not strange in the Muslim community, right? Especially in San Diego. San Diego's a little bit more country feeling, and she grew up in the South, in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, like, it was very common for religious Muslim families to marry their kids when they're like 20, 21, So for them, it wasn't so strange. And for everyone around us, it was strange, but we're not living our lives based on their perception of reality anyways.
Right. And down south, too, I know a lot of my friends that I met through work, they were from Texas, or they went to Texas A&M, and most of the people would propose, and these are not Muslim people, these are outside of the faith, that they would propose by like junior year. Right. And they would be married as soon as they basically got out of college. Right. And that's extremely common.
Yeah, it's a different culture.
It's a different culture.
But Southern California, of course, has its own culture too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.